Buzz Live. Buzz, 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 buzz. It's Blake's Buzz Live. Buzz, 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 buzz. It's Blake's Buzz Live. More, hate less, read comics. It's Blake's Buzz Live.
Buzz, buzz, babies.
Buzz, buzz, babies. It's Blake's Buzz Live, and it is 2023, and I am streaming from a machine that was built in 2013, and it is working. It's working. It's amazing. I'm super excited. With me tonight is Clay Adams, and I'm your host, Blake, and I'm unemployed, and we're here to have a great time. Clay, how you doing tonight, bud?
I'm buzzing. Buzz, baby. I'm excited to be here.
I'm excited for you to be here, man. Like, Blazing Blade of Frankenstein is live online right now. You can go to Kickstarter and back it. It's real easy to find. You can even Google Blazing Blade of Frankenstein, and it'll pop up, or you can go to Clay's any of his social medias and find the link. We can't share a screen tonight because I don't have extra screens to share, but we'll guide you through it. If you have any questions, you hop in those chats, babies. We'll tell you exactly where to go. Anyways, I'm excited. To talk to Clay again. Clay's been on the show a few times. We always have a great time. He writes really good comics that are usually kind of funny and obscene and crude in a lot of fun ways. And this is like a action horror romp that's a little bit different. Tell us about Blazing Blade of Frankenstein, Clay.
Yeah, so to your point, the idea was like just to try something kind of a little bit different, right? Like, I guess conventional wisdom might say that I should like stay in my lane and try to do the thing I'm known for, which is kind of that over-the-top horror comedy. But I don't know. I wanted to do different things. So the idea was to try to do like a fantasy book. I wanted to try a few different things. One, like just straight up horror. So I kind of like scratched that itch with the Nightmare Theater horror anthologies. And then I wanted to kind of dip my toe into fantasy, mainly because I had this idea of Frankenstein. Like, Frankenstein is my all-time favorite novel. Like, I read the book in high school, absolutely loved it. Couldn't believe how relevant it seemed to today. And I had this idea of like, well, what if we did like a sequel to Frankenstein, right? To the book. But like, instead of going to commit suicide in the Arctic, like he does in the book, what if he stumbled through a portal to another world? And about the same time I was reading this, thinking about this, I was reading League of Extraordinary Gentlemen by Alan Moore. And he introduced me to the idea of the Blazing World, which is like a 1600s era fantasy novel, like one of the first fantasy novels, about a woman in the Arctic who stumbles through a portal to another world. She discovers all of these human animal hybrids, organizes them, teaches them how to be peaceful because they're all like fighting and everything, and like just makes it a utopia. And I thought, oh, well, that's perfect. What if Frankenstein went there? And what if maybe somebody had gone ahead of him and like conquered it? And so now Frankenstein's got to like battle to save this place. And so like I had the idea and I was like, nah, it's not really my thing. Like, fantasy's not my thing. It's not what I do. I should stay in my lane. And then I was talking to Kyle Roberts, who was doing all these fantastic like fantasy pinups and gorgeous things. And I was thinking like, well, this guy should be drawing a fantasy book. And I kind of put the two together, like, well, wait a minute, I do have this idea. So I talked it over. He came on board, and here we are. It's issue 2.
Yeah, and issue 1 was great. So I shout out to Comics on the Bay. Thanks for tuning in. He's another person with a cool channel and loves talking comics. There's a really good network of people that I keep finding, more and more people. Mostly thank you to Travis Gibbs, not Kickstarter. Well, he made this because of a Kickstarter, but Travis Gibbs Discord is really a nice place to be. And I've been meeting a lot of new people, and I don't know if people have been watching. I work YouTube, Cole's Comic Claims. We have a new Tuesday night show called Blake and Cole Read a Book, and we've been doing giveaways to force people to watch us, and it's been working. But anyways, there's a great network of YouTube people out there, and it's been nice getting to know people. Thank you for tuning in. That was long-winded as fuck. Anyway, yeah, your Blazing Blade of Frankenstein is epic. It's funny because I've backed so many Kickstarters, right? Like most of the time, like I get the rewards in the mail, and then like, you know, I post like my mail haul pics, and they go in a pile, right? And because I buy comic books that I never read until later when you guys come on the show, and then I got to like dig out the comics and finally read them. And I finally, I finally read Blazing Blade of Frankenstein when we scheduled this. I also read The Electric Youth, which I got the 2 issues in the last Kickstarter with Blazing Blade of Frankenstein. Now I know we're here to rep Blazing Blade of Frankenstein, right? And it's good. And there's werewolves, and there's a hot lady who's kind of into our favorite undead person. I'd like to get into later why all these people keep writing sequels to Frankenstein. You guys just won't let him go and fucking die. You can't. The guy wants to just crawl into a corner.
You can't let him die.
Yeah, I know you guys, and I guess it's good you guys won't let him. But anyways, The Electric Youth might be my favorite thing I've ever read from you. Like it kind of blew my fucking mind. Yeah, and I was like, man, you got to tell him that, and you got to mention it. I don't know if you can do add-ons in the new campaign, or do you have any more issues, or are they an option?
The print run is sold out.
Nice.
But I guess
fuck you guys, I got it though. Sorry.
Yeah. Print run is sold out. I don't know. Possibly I could add the digital back up there. Yeah, if enough people demand it, for sure.
Nice. Anyways, I just it was really good. It was like fucking Image Comics' Goosebumps, right? Like it pretends to be all ages, but the language is definitely not all ages at all, right? And so in that sense, it makes it like an adult narrative. But yeah, before we move on to his other horror action fantasy comic, this Electric Youth is about these kids who have this wonderful plot, and there's no fault in the logic here, folks. Like these kids plan a fucking heist and wait for their creepy convenience store neighborhood person to throw his trash away during the trash route, right? So they're working against the clock of the trash truck to pick up the dumpster and shake it out, right? And they wait for this guy to dump his trash so they can jump into the dumpster and tear the trash open and find all the porno that he's throwing away and steal his nudie mags, right? And it ends up happening, and the dude finds like the mother load. He's in there, he finds all the porno mags, and he's all excited, and he's inside the dumpster, right? So his friends are all outside yelling because the truck's pulling up, and they're like, buddy, get out, you don't go. And anyways, he ends up getting dumped out of the dumpster. He finds a dead body, and that's all I'm going to say about it, because it goes from like 8 to 11 pacing, like real quick. Art is wonderful. There's some really great twists. All this happens in fucking 2 issues, man. And anyways, that was really great. And the reason I'm talking about that is because the last campaign, Clay offered those, and I picked those up along with Blazing Blade Frankenstein. That was just a lot of great comics I got in the mail, and I was really, really stoked for them. And again, Blazing Blade of Frankenstein is also great. It is funny that so it takes balls, right? It takes big writer balls to want to pick up a sequel to Shelley, right? Because I'm the same way, man. When I read the novel, it blew my mind. And then I read it again in college, right? And it was cool in a college lit class, like the discussion aspect of it and the different ways it went, and learning about, all right, so I'm fucking old, right? So like when I was in college, right? Like I'm learning this is how I learned about feminism, was from Frankenstein, and finding out like all these things about Mary Shelley. And she wrote a lot of great essays too, nonfiction essays on feminism and gender, and like just a genius. And so for you guys, okay, so you've done it. Wells Thompson did it on Kickstarter with Frankenstein the Unconquered, and Victor, can't ever say his last name right. It's either Victor Lavelle or Victor Lavalle. I'm not sure. he's writing Sabretooth right now, but he also writes novels. But one of his earlier comics was from Boom called Destroyer, and he also wrote it was also a sequel to Frankenstein. So like, what? Oh, dude, you would obviously you would dig it because it's totally in the realm you're working with. And what's funny, folks, is all of these are wildly different narratives, even though they're sequels to Shelley's Frankenstein. Clay's has Frankenstein step trip. He trips into a portal, and gets transported into another realm. Meets a little cutie baddie that he saves, and she's kind of into him, and I'm kind of digging that, right? Like he's like, yeah, I got stitches, but what up? And she's like, yeah, what up? Like, okay. She's kind of, like there's this interesting will they won't they that you wouldn't expect to happen in a Frankenstein narrative. And there's fucking werewolves, and it's fucking crazy, and he's got to like save this lady and maybe save this realm. I don't like, it can go a lot of different places, and that's what Blazing Blade of Frankenstein like does, all that in the first issue. And so now the second issue is where kind of the pressure's on, right? Especially in Kickstarter, because this is where you're going to really solidify your audience to be like, yep, like this is what we're propelling the narrative. We're going to go this way, and this is why you need to back sequential campaigns from us, right? So this is probably kind of a nervous campaign for you. If it wasn't, it is now, because I just made it weird.
You just put the pressure on, Blake.
I did.
I'm quaking in my boots.
Now you're like, oh fuck, I gotta rewrite scene 4. And
I gotta rewrite everything. I didn't throw it all out and start all over again. Thanks, man.
I don't believe that for a second. You're a great writer. But so you did that. Wells Thompson did Frankenstein the Unconquered, which is where Frankenstein never kills himself but gets propelled. He like the world turns against him and straps him to a rocket and shoots him into outer space because they can't kill him. But then the rocket ends up, after many years, right, crashes back into Earth, and he can't die, right? So he lives through not breathing in outer space, through re-entry, through the rocket crashing, and now he's in this like dilapidated future Earth, right? Which is, again, something totally different. And then Victor did Destroyer, which is about like the son of Frankenstein, which is also like, and it was great. So yeah, anyways, these are 3. If you guys really like Frankenstein, you should check out these 3 comics, and obviously totally back Clay's issue 2 campaign, which, as we mentioned, no pressure, but this is where he really solidifies his audience. But you've also got your own audience, right? You've got people that are already following you. Like you've been doing the crowdfunding game for a while, like that makes things a little bit easier too, right? Like, because you have your built-in crowdfunding audience.
It definitely helps. Yeah, for sure. It definitely helps. I mean, it is weird to the point, like when you kind of jump genres, like you can see not everybody follows to everything that you do. You know what I mean? Like I think a lot of people on Kickstarter think like, oh, well, I'm just, people will follow me. But that's not necessarily the case. Like there are definitely titles.
Pricks.
Yeah.
We need to talk about that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like there are definitely titles that like, like I'll do PBOW, and like there are some people who only back PBOW. Like that's the only book of mine that they're interested in. And they won't come out for anything else. And then there are people who like will back everything else, but they will not back that book. You know what I mean? So
that's crazy though, because like if I was like, oh, who's this Clay guy? I've been hearing people talk about him, and then I read Pregnant Benches of War, and then I would be like, I gotta dive into this dude's bibliography. Like this dude's fearless. Spoiler alert, they eat a fucking baby in this comic. I've said this every time Clay's been on the show. I still can't believe he did it. It was still absolutely a phenomenal scene. It reminded me of Chuck Palahniuk's Haunted. There's a Chuck Palahniuk, like it's an overarching horror story where these writers go on the worst writing retreat like ever, and they all are competing to tell like the most fucked up horror stories. So like Palahniuk's writing this outside narrative and then doing these like short stories that are totally unrelated to everything, but they're told and written by the characters. Really smart. But anyways, long story short, they get locked into this place, right? And they're told they have to meet these deadlines for the workshops and stuff, and they like run out of food, and so they think like this one chick's dead, and one of them is like a chef, like he cooks and writes, and he ends up like shaving off part of this woman's ass, and he like takes fillets off her ass and thigh and cooks them, and everybody eats it, and everybody's like super ashamed of how delicious it is, right? And then all of a sudden, like the chick comes like stumbling down the stairs, and she's all pale, and like she wasn't dead, she was just so emaciated because they've all been like starved and tortured basically. Anyways,
is that the one where like everybody walked out of the reading? He famously had a reading.
That's in there. He put Guts. So there's an essay from Chuck Palahniuk called Guts.
Okay.
And then he's written an essay about this too. So supposedly everywhere he's read this essay, not only do people walk out, people faint. Like while he's reading it, like people in the audience will fucking black out and collapse.
So that's that scene in PBOW, because we lost a cover artist. We had a superstar cover artist who was going to come on and do it, and then he got wind. He saw that scene, and was like, "Nope, I'm out."
Wow.
And
how fucked up am I? Because that's like one of the reasons I love this comic.
Yeah. No. That was a tough time because we were really excited to have this guy. Like this was a big get for us, and he was like. He was not down, and then he just kind of vanished on us, and then like you'll see if we put it up on Webtoons and we're building an audience there, and that's usually when like we got a lot of comments on that scene that's like, well, I'm out, that's it for me.
Yeah, I was overjoyed with it, but I have no children, right? I'm the single guy with all my friends have kids, and
right,
they're little gremlins that run around, and
but we didn't harm any babies.
It wasn't real.
Nobody was really harmed.
It's not a non-fiction creative piece. It's total it's total fiction. But yeah, it just not something you see in comics all the time, right? So I like that scene took me, and then it was also like comical, like the way it was drawn and the reveal, right? And it was just there's so many great things. And again, folks, like that's why you should check out Clay's writing, because if even if this sounds like it's not for you, like okay, don't do PBOW, but he's got these other comics that have like a lot of I know I say this all the time, and it's like you guys probably think I'm a cheese dick, but like these writers that are really good, they put like a lot of like their little special sauce, right? Like they drizzle over this really great plate that they cooked you for dinner. And I call that charm, because I don't know a better way to put that, because it makes it charming and it makes it authentic and unique to them. And I get like you can say like voice and agency and stuff like that too, but like I'm sure like a lot of people who hear people say that also think they're like pretentious douchebags. But so I'm going to call it charm, and it does. He makes charming comics that make you laugh and feel guilty about laughing, which I love. I love complex emotions when I experience stuff, right?
Sure.
And you have a really great mind, and comics too, right? Page turns, how to find the artists that fit your work. You know how to do this, and you do it well. And I really appreciate the risks you take. You're welcome, man. I appreciate the risks you take in your narratives. And now before we get back to Frankenstein, you just released rewards for your last Kickstarter with Mick, right?
Yeah, Dream Quest.
Yeah. And so this is the first time I've ever seen this. When you release the digital, because I backed digitally because I'm poor. Now I'm even more poor because I don't know if you guys knew I'm unemployed. It's a secret. It's been hush hush. We haven't talked about that yet.
You don't talk about that much.
Like I backed digitally, even though like I really, really wanted the not safe for work covers you guys did for this were really well done.
Sure. Yeah.
And anyways, but and you guys, we did a launch party for that a few months ago.
Yeah.
But it was I've never gotten a update that was like, here's your digital rewards. If you want to upgrade to physical, click this link. And you guys actually offered a discounted purchase for people that wanted a physical copy, and it was like it was super easy to navigate. You like I said, you click the link. I think you guys asked to mention it in the comment or something, or when you fulfilled the survey, like hey, I did this. But it took you to an outside source. and then it was like you can pick any of these covers, and it basically took like the $8 or whatever it was digital fee off, right? And then you could and you could pay for the new cover with shipping to get it shipped to you. I thought that was really fucking cool, right? And then I felt bad because I was like, damn, I was like, this isn't Kickstarter, and I realized it was Indiegogo.
Right.
And Indiegogo scares me because of a certain group that uses it, right?
Understandable. Yeah.
But I've heard from numerous creatives that the enticing element is like after the campaign ends, it works as like a storefront.
Yes, exactly.
And so that's what this kind of was, right? It was like a different, but you didn't run the campaign on IGG.
No. It's called In Demand. And so it's sort of separate from Indiegogo proper. So instead of running a campaign on Indiegogo, what I did is just what you explained. I ran the campaign on Kickstarter, and then I opened a storefront on In Demand, which is hosted by Indiegogo. But what they do is, here's why I like it, for exactly what you just said, because now I can write all my digital backers who maybe didn't have the money at the time to purchase a physical copy, right?
Yeah.
But now they're already $8 into it, or whatever, $5 into it, whatever the digital was that they got.
Yeah. They're
already so far into it. And then now they can maybe pay just a little bit more and get that physical copy.
Yeah.
And what In Demand allows you to do is I can send you a secret link. So like if I run a Kickstarter, everybody goes to the Kickstarter page, everybody sees what's available. But on In Demand, you can send a secret link that's like, listen, this is just for you. Only the people who have this link are going to get this deal. And this takes off the price of the digital reward from Kickstarter off this purchase if you want to just upgrade. And we've had a lot of success with people doing that. And I've done it on a few campaigns now, and it seems to do pretty well. Like we usually get a decent amount of takers who want to do that.
Cool.
And yeah, the other thing that is cool about In Demand is that like they charge your card right away. So it's like you're not worrying about.
Oh, it's not like the backer kit like 3 months later, that $10 charge.
Yes, exactly.
Might just fuck me into oblivion, and I'm calling my bank crying like I'm just trying to support indie comics.
Yes. And so that's the thing. Like I've tried backer kit. There are a lot of advantages to backer kit. There's a steep learning curve to backer kit. It's kind of difficult to navigate. And there is that thing where it's like people don't know when their cards are going to get charged. And I just find this cleaner. Like you go in, you say what you want, you pay for it immediately. Whereas like, on Kickstarter, as you know, from talking to anybody who's run one, you have that period over the 30 days where people decide like, well, maybe I can't afford this month. And so they drop or they reduce their pledge or whatever. And it kind of can become a roller coaster in the middle. Whereas on In Demand, like nobody's ever asked me for a refund. You know what I mean? Like people go in, they know they have the money, then they know they're paying it right now. So I like using it. I get it that there's some people who absolutely hate Kickstarter, refuse to use Kickstarter. I know there are people who absolutely hate Indiegogo. They refuse to use anything, even associated with it. To me, it's like, selling in Target and Walmart. It's like, I want my books to be everywhere so people can get them. I just want people to read comics and enjoy them. And, that's just sort of where I'm coming from.
Kickstarter's Target in that scenario, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know.
Well, I don't know. I don't know because Walmart is the 40-pound gorilla, or the 8.
Yeah. They have the reputation, but like Target has like the soccer moms that like show up after hot yoga or like maybe they spend all day at their son's soccer practice and they're in a little tank top and some shorts and they're coming in to get some fucking orange juice and some fucking sushi and you're just like, damn.
It's the aesthetic. It's for sure it's the aesthetic, but I think in terms of user base, Kickstarter is more like Walmart. Yeah,
Kickstarter has the numbers. I got you. What's up, Manny? El Crudo's in the house. It looks dope as fuck. Everybody should be checking this out. Also, yes, that dragon cover is sick. That's why I use it for my promo art. It's amazing.
Yeah.
And then we got fucking John Westoff in the house.
Hey, John.
John has a campaign going right now. I almost called it the title of your
Drumsticks of Doom, right?
Drumsticks of Doom, and
Did I get that right?
And Depowered issue 2 and Drumsticks issue 3. He's running a simultaneous campaign that's really interesting. I'm kind of mad at him because he hasn't asked to come on my show, but that's cool. I'm just going to click your comment off the screen. No, I just want to guilt trip him because so we did a launch party last time, and he kept giving me shit because a couple other people did launch parties with me, you and Mick, Wells Thompson, and you guys funded in like a day or two, and John's was a little bit slower, and he was like, I did your show so I could fund day one, and he gave me so much shit about it, but yeah, he and apparently he believed it, because yeah, he didn't ask, he hasn't asked to come on the show this time, so that's cool, bud. You know, I've just been waiting.
But at least he's still watching.
Yeah, I'm glad he's watching. He's just, you know, it's fine.
He hasn't given up on you entirely.
That's true. Yeah, I'm not. Everything Blake's Buzz makes everything better. Have you guys not figured that out yet? You should subscribe to my YouTube channel, by the way. Go to blakesbuzz.com, subscribe to my Substack, at Blake's Buzz on Twitter and Instagram, at Blake's Buzz on YouTube. You can say that now. That's so cool. I dig that. And you can also find me at like facebook.com/Blake's Buzz. I'm everywhere, and I'm just waiting for you. Just waiting for you, baby. Anyways, nice. But yeah, so Clay, what was the reception of Blades of the Frankenstein comic?
Blazing Blade of Frankenstein.
Blazing Blade of Frankenstein.
It's a mouthful. I know everybody wants to call it Blazing Bride, or I sometimes get like Flaming Sword of Frankenstein.
But the Blazing Bride's a good spinoff.
Yeah, well,
that's a good title. Oh, that's like a good title one shot. Maybe Frank and old girl get together in the back alleys of the alternate dimension. You know,
no spoilers yet.
He's already ready to like make her a little jacket and stuff out of wolf fur. You know, he can make a big comforter, big king size comforter to roll around in.
Anytime, yeah.
Anyways, whatever, you know.
Reception was good.
It was good, right? Nice.
It was good. It was really good, actually, and it was really gratifying because, like I said, I was kind of nervous about stepping out of my comfort zone. Didn't know how it was going to be received. Didn't know how what the campaign was going to do. But yeah, it seemed the audience has responded really well, and I really hope people dig issue 2. It is like you know, you are correct. Like it is. We've
hold on, time out. I just want to make sure I have a space to recognize the blip in the audio where I can cut that moment out and like just play it sometimes when I need it. Anyway, sorry.
Just that you were right.
You are correct.
Yes, you are correct. I mean, it is kind of nerve-wracking with the second issue because it's like, all right, well, reception of the first issue was good, but it was like setup. Now we're like getting off to the races, and you know, and the book is different because originally I started thinking that it might be something that like I would want to take to a publisher or something like that, and so I wanted to do it as like kind of a very self-contained kind of thing and a self-contained story, and then as things, you know, started to shake out and Kickstarter started to be really viable for ongoing series, I kind of started thinking that you know, maybe we don't have to put a cap on it, but there is a definite story that I want to tell, but I also am interested in doing it episodically in the sense that it's like maybe a little more like old school comics in the sense that I want you to get a full reading experience with every issue. So, because I know on Kickstarter, there might be months in between issues. Like, it's not like it's going to be on your shelf. So it's like, if you're picking up part 3 of a 5-part story and it's like the middle and the setup's already been done and like you don't know who anybody is, like that's no good for anybody. I want people to read it from the beginning, because if you read it from the beginning, there's going to be a full story that you're going to get. But I want people to feel like they can get an individual issue, and it's, you know, we're on issue, say we're up to issue 7 or whatever. You don't have to feel like, oh, geez, I got to go back and read the whole 6 issues so I know what's going on. You know what I mean? Like, I want you to be able to just pick it up and enjoy it
Nice.
and reread it and maybe find something new every time. But the idea is to kind of just be episodic and build on those episodes. Those episodes will build into something bigger, kind of like Poker Face on Peacock.
Totally thought you were about to say Pokemon and I lost you, but now that makes
no,
sense.
No, Poker Face. Is
it good as everybody says it is? I haven't had a chance to
It's
watch
really good. I've only seen the first episode, but my understanding is that that's kind of the same thing. It's like a throwback to the old TV shows that were like, you could just catch one episode and you'd get a full story and you'd feel satisfied. But if you watch, but they've structured it so it's like if you watch all 7 episodes or whatever it is they're doing, you're going to get like an even greater experience. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's kind of the idea behind this.
You said something interesting, and I want to pick your brain about it. So you kind of mentioned like you were like, ooh, like I want to get this out to a publisher. But as a lot of people know, like pitching to a publisher, wow, there's a lot of hard P's coming out here pitching to a publisher. When that's not as easy as it sounds, right? Like you have 2 paragraphs maybe to like really sell yourself and your product, which is the story. Which is like maddening, right? Like that's your baby, however much you have written. And this is the same in like any kind of writing, right? Like prose, poetry, comics, if you're like trying to sell to like a literary agent, or you're trying to like send to a journal to get something published or something, like, you have this like little tiny introduction to like really hope they like dive into your narrative and give it the time it deserves. And that's hard. That's very hard. So you mentioned, you were like, hey, I had this idea and I was going to like make it a tight mini maybe, or like a couple, and then try and work it, then try and pitch it, right? Because the comics are made. Right. And then you can show backer numbers, right? You can be like, hey, 1,000 people backed each. 1,000 people are, like 10,258 people backed campaign 1. 14,538 people backed campaign 2. Right. So like, dude, my fucking nuts are swinging, right? Like I know what I'm doing.
I would love to have those numbers. Who's pulling these numbers?
I don't know. I like even Stickney's not pulling those numbers yet. I think Boom is running a new one that Andy Diggle's writing, The Expanse.
Oh, cool.
And it sounds really cool.
They're going to get a lot of backers.
Oh, they already have a ton of money. They're like, yeah, whatever. But it's, it's also their tiers are amazing. Like the last 3 tiers are like because you can pre-order the 3 hardcovers, right? That are going to have special Kickstarter dust jackets that they won't have when you buy from like wherever you get the hardcover later when it comes out. And not only that, you can get like these signed book plates, which is Andy Diggle's signature. Like I'd be stoked for that. But they come in these like metal boxes. So it's like this metal, there's 3 different like metals that they use to make these boxes. And like, they go from like $250 to $900. And people are backing them. You can look on Kickstarter and see like how many, and I'm like, man, that's one of the reasons I quit my job. Cause I was like, I need more fuck you money. Like there's gotta be fuck you money out in the world that's ready to grab. I just don't have it yet.
Well, but see, you're proving my point, right? About the publishers. And I don't like, I don't mean to insult anyone. Like, so don't take this the wrong way, but when say Archie Comics came to Kickstarter a few years back and everybody got up in arms about Archie Comics being on Kickstarter and they should go away because it's a big corporation and blah, blah, blah. To me, that the story wasn't Archie Comics comes to Kickstarter and tries to like take all the money from the indie creators. The story for me was, oh shit, Archie Comics needs to be on Kickstarter because they're not making the money they used to somewhere else. And so no offense to Boom, I think what they're doing is super smart. But if they thought they could make this money somewhere else, like say the direct market, they'd be in the direct market. Yeah. They're on Kickstarter for a reason. Kickstarter now is like one of the biggest publishers in the comics game. And so the problem with taking a pitch like this to a company is that you might be pitching them now and they might take it, say, and then go bankrupt in a few months. And they've got like rights that understandably, you gave up because they were doing work getting you into the direct market, things that you couldn't do on your own necessarily, or in front of people that you couldn't get in front of. But they go bankrupt. They have these rights. You can't get them back. Now there's a legal battle. I don't want to, name names, but there are publishers like that out there.
No, we've seen it. We've seen
publishers
in
that are
real
on
time.
Yep. And there are publishers that are on rocky ground. And I just sort of started looking at like what was going on in the direct market and some of my experiences with publishers, which have not been bad. They've all been good. Again, I'm not trying to cast aspersions on anyone, but I tell people, like, if you need the validation of being in the direct market, go with a publisher. But if you need money, get on Kickstarter. And
really, because so many people are always like, they're like, I never make any money. It's like a break even scenario. It's like okay, and everybody's gonna turn against me for saying this, but there's so many people are like, I sweat my blood and tears and went on to Kickstarter and I did 45 podcasts and then and I also did 37 written interviews and I talked to Blake's Buzz 8 times and hated myself each time and I made $2. I broke exactly even. It's like that's like the story I hear about Kickstarters. They're like, there's no money, there's only dreams.
Well, but that's not true. Like, I mean, I get why people would say that, and I'd probably say, that might be somebody on their first campaign.
Okay.
Like I remember the first campaign that I ran. And it was like I had a very low goal, and we just struggled to get there. And I wasn't gonna make it. And like halfway through, I was like, "Oh my God, this thing is gonna fail!" And it's like I'm not even asking for all that much money. So I had to like Google, how do you fund a comics Kickstarter campaign? And I got Tyler James came up. At that time, he didn't have his communities. I don't even think he had his podcast at that point, but he had a blog. And I read his blog and I was like, oh, this is great. And I did like everything that he said to do. And we funded just barely. And yeah, there was no money to be made there. There was no money to be made in a few of the early ones. And but at this point,
what do you like? How many campaigns you at? 12?
So this is like for Fried Comics, this is like my 15th.
Wow. Okay.
And then, when you throw in like the Nightmare Theaters that I've run with Dave Schrader, and then other campaigns that I've consulted on, I've either run firsthand or helped build like more than 20 campaigns.
Wow.
So like at this point, I tried to learn whatever I could learn to try to make these launches bigger every time, to try to manage the money better, to try to do things to get more money on the back end, like the in-demand thing. Like I tried BackerKit once, and it was like the fees that they took were so expensive, and I did sell some stuff, and I probably, my add-on game has gotten better. So I might fare better. I might fare better this time.
I like that. My add-on game. That's good. That's good.
Well, I might fare better this time using a BackerKit, but like I barely made back the BackerKit fees. And so like it's easier for me to do in demand and make money, actually make money on the back end. Hey, Benjamin. Awesome.
Benjamin just bagged.
Thank you.
Dude, Ben, we need to talk again, man, because I miss you. He's so supportive and awesome, and I still can't believe he draws with a fucking mouse. His art is amazing, and he draws he fucking holds a mouse in his hand, and he draws these amazing superhero comics that look better than a lot of what the Big Two's doing right now, ladies and gentlemen.
Is that his art there on the avatar?
Yeah, that's him.
That looks awesome.
Yeah, that's his crowdfunding series that may have been picked up by
That's
Red.
Great.
He's doing August, Red August or something. Sorry if I'm saying the wrong name of your book. You're not a guest though, so I'm allowed to fuck up in that aspect. But he's doing a comic with Red 5, and I thought they might. I almost reached for my mouse to click on his comic and then remembered it. So this is funny. I'm using this 2013 MacBook, right? It has 2 USB ports, right? So I need and no Ethernet port because it's too thin. It's the MacBook Air. So I have to have a USB Ethernet adapter to get hardwired internet because I'm scared to live stream with Wi-Fi because it just is less mistakes. And then I have to do another USB for my mic in the USB audio interface, right? And so all my USBs are tapped out. And so I just waved that mouse around to make a joke and forgot that it wasn't plugged in. Anyways, let's show his guys. Yes, he's trying with his mouse now. He's a madman, but hey man, whatever works. Yes, Red Fives. Yes, Scarlet Twilight. That's the superhero comic. August Purgatory Underground. Ben, annoy me. Get back on the show. I miss you. And you make awesome comics. Anyways, sorry, Clay, to steal your thunder. I don't.
No, someone backed. That is a reason to celebrate. Thank you, Benjamin.
Yeah, that's awesome. But yeah, I remember I was talking to Clay earlier in the green room, and I mentioned that I'm trying something new with Blake's Buzz Live, especially now that I have some extra free time on my hands. I don't know if you guys knew this, I'm unemployed. But I've scheduled a whole lot of interviews, and instead of having like 3 or 4 different campaigns, sometimes each campaign has 1 or 2 people on. Like we've had some clusterfuck live shows, and I loved those. They were fun. And other people liked them, and the people had fun, but sometimes they went like 3 hours or over 3 hours. And I told Clay, I was like, man, in these long shows, right? Like I was like, I try and give everybody, 15 minutes to like, pop off on their campaign and talk about it. But if a creator's rolling, I'm just going to cut them off. I'm not going to play the fucking Oscar music, right? And get them off the stage.
Get them off stage.
And so, sometimes it's like that 15 minutes turns into 20 minutes or maybe even 22 minutes. And I've always noticed like when everybody's listening, and like sometimes it's cool to listen, like I think I've very much lucked out with the guests I've had, and everybody's been so fun and knowledgeable and excited about comics. Like they're great to listen to. But I've just seen some of my other guests, like they just sit there and don't get to talk for a long time, right? And then so depending on when you go, like sometimes you don't say anything for like 30 minutes unless they like blurt out like right at the end and they're like, yeah, this looks great. Oh, and I'm like, it made me feel like I felt bad and weird and awkward. And so I'm trying to do a new thing now where I do shorter episodes and we sprinkle them out. We'll do them fucking anytime, right? Like we'll pop off, we'll go live, we'll have fun and just have like, one comic to showcase, whether all the creatives come on. That's cool too, because that's different. That's a different kind of conversation. But anyway, so I'm trying to do Blake's Buzz a little differently in 2023. Benjamin, you never apologize for anything. You're a wonderful person, and like Clay said, you gave him some money, so you do whatever you want.
That's right.
That's what back in Clay's comics gets you is you get to do whatever you want. To Clay. No, I'm
True
just
story.
But anyway, so yeah, switching up Blake's Buzz, switching up how we talk about stuff, yada yada yada, making everything about me. But we're here for you, Clay. We're here for you, baby.
I'll talk about me all day long, baby.
Now I do want to bring up because you mentioned Nightmare Theater, and there were some hiccups in the Nightmare Theater like the printing and production part, right? Like there was you're finally overcoming that hill, right? You're the sun's finally rising.
Ish. Yeah. Ish.
Oh, well,
it's an ongoing saga.
Sorry to bring up the bad blood. But
here's some open wounds. You can just,
Anybody in the comments has any salt on them? We'll just pour this all over.
You've
all
earned
over
the right.
The wound. I just
backed my book. Pour
sliced
some salt
open
on my
the
wounds.
sutures and spread his guts open right here live on air.
It's an ongoing issue, but the book is going to get fulfilled very soon. It's
nice.
It is a very good book. I'm very proud of it. I'm looking forward to getting it into backers' hands soon. But yes, this has been the files were sent to the printer almost a year ago.
Wow.
And yeah, there's been issues. I will say, without naming this particular printer, this is the second book of mine that they've screwed up. Actually, Blazing Blade of Frankenstein being the first one. They misprinted. They screwed up the first run of the first issue, and that had to be reprinted. And so, yeah, this is the second book they've screwed up of mine.
Do they do like buy one get one free? Like you keep coming back? Like you're like,
no,
they're like, baby, it'll be different this time. I'll listen. And you're like,
well,
all right.
no. I gave them the files and started the process before they screwed up Frankenstein.
Oh, okay.
And then the Frankenstein screw up delayed printing Nightmare Theater. And then I think also like there were a lot of other books that they had screwed up. I won't out any other creators, but some big name creators that you know very well had similar issues with this printer, books that just weren't right. The printer that now, to be fair, in their defense, there was an international paper supply shortage, but this printer seemed to get hit a whole lot harder than pretty much anybody else on the planet. So lots of excuses. I know they were struggling, but anyway, so it was just very problematic because I when I was having the issues with Blazing Blade of Frankenstein, I was talking to them saying like, look, this can't happen again on Nightmare Theater. Like I will pull the book. You've got to assure me that somebody's going to run quality control on this. And they did. And sure enough, somebody was not running quality control on the book. And so anyway, I just got another shipment. It looks like maybe I will say that not everything came out the way that we had hoped and that I had discussed with them. I think at the very least, some of this run is salvageable. They might have to reprint some other stuff. So we'll see. It's an ongoing conversation. I'll say that. Wow. But yeah, this is the last time I'm using that printer, at least for a project that I originate.
At least until he asks them again.
No,
will it be different this time? They'll say yes.
No. I will say I am involved in another project that shall I say the people behind the project work very closely with this printer, I will say. And and I have a feeling that that's going to be the printer for that project, and I don't have a say in that, and that's fine. I've expressed my concerns about reliability, but I think this is a big client of theirs, and I think they wouldn't drop the ball with them.
So this sounds like one of the bigger. This isn't just some like college kid with like 3 Canon inkjets like set up in his parents' guest room. Like this is like a legit. This is one of the bigger printers. It sounds like that you're having.
You might say that. Yeah, you might say that. Yeah. You might say that. I don't know if they're one of the biggest printers. Look,
not big. It's just one of the like.
It's Friday night. It's Friday night, and like I'm tired of dealing with this.
Friday Night Live and
so
printer service. No.
I'm probably saying more than I should, but yeah, it's a printer. Everybody who works in crowdfunding comics would know.
Okay.
And anyway, buyer beware. I found a new printer and I'm going to be using them moving forward. And nice. That's who's printing. New printer is printing Blazing Blade of Frankenstein #2. So we do not anticipate any delays. In fact, this new printer is printing Dream Quest. They have been remarkably professional. Prices, I think, are better than this other place. Turnaround time certainly better. I sent them the files just recently, just a couple of weeks ago, and they printed it today. And I think cool. I should have it next week. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like that campaign just from the digital fulfillment. I feel like you guys did good with that. Mick is a fucking machine. I love that dude. I really want to party. I really want to party with you guys. So even if it's not really a party, even if it's just like if we go to like a place and eat hot dogs and cheeseburgers and talk in real life.
Let me tell you something. We were talking about coming up to Planet to hang out with you. But it's spring break.
And they're doing it the week. They're fucking Patrick's Day weekend. It's gonna be such a clusterfuck.
Exactly.
I will go if they approve my press pass, because I did apply for a press pass. And so if they let me go, I'll go. But it's gonna be a fucking madhouse in Kansas City that weekend. It's gonna be crazy.
It's gonna be nuts. And I unfortunately I'm chaperoning a spring break trip for my son, so I will not be able to come to Planet. And I'm really bummed about it because I was looking forward to, because you promised a barbecue.
I did,
So,
yeah. I've told any comic book creator, well, some comic book creators, if you come to Planet, like we could do a brunch, and I'm talking like get lit on mimosas and eat biscuits and gravy brunch, or we do like a barbecue late night drink dinner. Or you don't have to drink. I'm just saying, like in Kansas City, we like to drink. I know BarCon has a bad deal, but anyways, like safe space if you want to have drinks and eat barbecue. I've told people like we can either do like a night deal, but that would be like
2024.
That would be one of my dreams if like a bunch of my comic book friends that I met on the show came to a local comic book con, and I got to like, and I would make my sister help me, because when we do like the family brunches for a lot of people, we always cook together. But like to make like a brunch or dinner and have like comic book people over, oh my god. And then I could like live stream it, and like we could do like a 4-hour live stream of the Blake's Buzz dinner party. Oh my god.
What other Comic-Cons do they have there? Because we're only a few hours
no, there's
away.
A couple. There's an anime. There's like a NakaCon, but that's in another part of Missouri. But there's a few. I'm not 100% familiar. I've heard about a couple others that there's smaller ones. I'm out of the loop. So I'm a fraud, ladies and gentlemen. I have not been to a comic book convention yet. When I got into comic books, right, dude? No,
how dare you?
I was a bouncer for many years, and when I like was really getting into like buying and spending money on comics, and I as a bouncer, like the weekends is where you make your money. And I was a barback, so like I got if we had a good weekend, I got tipped out by the bartenders too. So like when you're at a bar, you don't have paid time off, right? You have no real vacation. We used to have vacation until these other owners took over, but none of us ever used vacation. We just saved it till the end of the year and cashed it out for like $200 and went and partied with it. So you don't really get vacations in a bar. And I always was working on weekends, so I could never do that. And then I'm a poor planner and I'm bad with money. And so like I would forget like the Planet Cons were coming up. And now like I'm approaching in March, will be 2 years of Blake's Buzz Live. March will be the 2nd year anniversary of launching the blog, which I don't even have anymore. Now I have like the Substack and the podcast and the live stream and all this other shit. But technically like March will be the 2nd year of like Blake's Buzz starting, and which is crazy. But yeah, anyway, so yeah, I still haven't been to a con, and I really want to do it. It would be really cool if I got a press pass this year. I could go like wander around and talk to people. But yeah, regardless, I want to do next year. I hope to plan harder. I heard like C2E2 is they're a little more lenient on press passes. And also like I could like take a train to Chicago and just like read comic books on a train.
How long of a train ride is that?
Probably like 6 hours, maybe. I don't know. Maybe more. It's like to Illinois. Wait, that's so trains are. I don't ever remember if trains are slower than cars. Like they have like, it depends on the route.
But it depends on the route, right? Because like if you go between Washington and New York and Boston, that's like lightning fast, and you can get anywhere you want to go super fast. But then it's like, but in the middle of the country, it's like it takes forever to get anywhere by train. Yeah. But if they got a fast train from Kansas City to Chicago,
I don't even care if it's fast though. Like if I can just hang out and just like read, like I'm gonna read some comics and prep and like do like prep and like have only comics to focus on, and then like go to the con and do all that, and then go back and just like nap and read more comics. I'd be like really cool with that. Like
that sounds cool. I love train rides, man.
I do too. I love
train rides.
My grandma and grandpa, when I was a kid, like we took a couple train rides to like St. Louis and stuff to see family, and like I fucking loved it. Like it was like, I don't know. Ever since then, like trains have been neat. Anyways,
Mick and I will come up one day. We'll hang out. We'll either go to Chicago or we'll go to a con in Kansas City. He and I are actually doing a con next weekend in Chattanooga,
Oh,
And
nice.
yeah, and he was like, "Now wait a minute, why are we doing this con again?" And I was like, "Well, because there's a beer I really want to have at a brewery that's 5 minutes away
That's
from the
awesome.
convention hall." That is literally, no joke, the only reason why I took it. Not the only reason, but it was a compelling argument for doing this convention.
That's awesome. I feel like Mick is like that with everything though. Like he's like, why do I have to draw this page again? Like, why are you making me do these things? Mick Byers and Clay have a studio together. They like do a lot of cool stuff together, ladies and gentlemen. So, but yeah, they Ignacio, what's up, Ignacio? He's in the chat. We do need to start naming names, but I also understand why we don't sometimes, because sometimes things can get better and you don't want to burn bridges.
Yep.
I guess, like, and I used to be all about burning the bridges, man, but Heroes Con in North Carolina, that would be cool too. Again, like, maybe in a year or two, again, your boy's unemployed, so now's not the time to think about a North Carolina vacation to a con, but
Heroes Con is fun though.
I've heard it's good. Yeah. And it would be, like I said, it would be so great to like really start traveling and meet people. I don't take a lot of vacations. That's not my family. My sister and I never hurt for anything, right? Like we were spoiled, like Christmases were always great and shit. But because of that, right? Because of like the everyday fulfillment we had, my family didn't do a lot of big vacations, right? So like we didn't ever do like Disney World or anything. But like I said, because of that, like we went out to eat a lot. My family, what we did when I was a kid, we used to go, like my parents would like let my sister and I have a friend, and we'd like go to like a hotel like 30 or 45 minutes away, right, with like a indoor pool and an arcade and shit. And like we would do that for a weekend. We got to bring a friend and we'd go out to eat every night, and it was that was fucking dope. And
that's awesome.
Like looking back, like that's not fucking cheap either.
No.
But like so that was like what we did as a kid, as opposed to like, oh, we're gonna go to Florida for a week and go to Disney World and do this. And so like that, the one time, oddly enough, like Ignacio, we went to South Carolina, but this was like after I was 21. Like I was drinking. My sister was in high school. My sister lost her fucking cell phone, and like God, my sister lost the cell phone because she wasn't in high school, she was in grade school. She fucking was like scream crying. We went on this like carriage ride through Charleston, right? And like did this awesome tour and went to all these historical sites, and somehow her phone like rattled out of her pocket or some shit, man. Like she lost it in this carriage ride. And we're fucking like, we're at the hotel room and she's like, and what's funny is like people weren't texting these days, right? You could do it, but it was real annoying because you had to like hit like 4 twice.
All the buttons.
You had to hit all the buttons over and over. And so like she's freaking out about this phone. There's no apps, right? There's a couple games. We had Snake. Snake was on there. I remember
this is like a dumb phone.
Yeah,
like
this is like
was it like a flip phone?
It was like a part flip phone, yeah.
Okay,
But like no color, like green and black on the screen, or beige and gray, whatever that color was. Yeah, dude, I'm aging myself, right? This is a long time ago, and so, but she'll make jokes about it sometimes. She'll like when she gets aggravated about something, she'll be like, "At least it's not South Carolina." And I'm like, so anyways, yeah. So, I loved that area, and I had a great time going there. And I want to do more traveling. Like I said, I just need to, what I need to do? I need to learn to, and not necessarily with like Kickstarter or crowdfunding, which I also had to back off a little bit too. But I buy a lot of books. Like buying books makes me feel better. I like getting them in the mail. Like if I'm sad, I will like look on Amazon and see if there's a deal. Like I'm bad about that, right? And especially now, like I just got into manga. Well, I'm good about that, but it's bad in other senses of being like fiscally smart. I'm not fiscally smart, and it's gotten worse since I've gotten into manga, right? Because I've bought in like, I'll be like, ooh, this is cool, and I'll buy the Dragon Ball Z box set, and then I'll read a couple volumes of that, and I'll be like, oh fuck, I need to get the Dragon Ball box set first. And so like I spend a lot of money on books, and what it comes down to is even now, with being all this free time right now because I'm unemployed. I don't know if you guys heard about that.
You have you mentioned that?
I might have mentioned. It might have come across in a
I
conversation.
feel like that's new information.
But even now, like I'm like, what? I want to read these things, especially because I buy a lot of omnibuses too, right? So like I buy like some of these comics I buy are 1,200 page hardcovers, or like the new Death of Superman hardcover I got is like 1,572 pages or something. It's ridiculous. You can kill a man with it. It's like
how do you read those?
Skillet.
Like I don't find those to be satisfying reads because it's like an old tome. I feel like I should be in an old library, like reading by candlelight.
That's how I feel. That's how I feel, except on the toilet and your forearm's really tired. You got to keep switching hands, like when you're on the throne, like to read.
Yeah, does that make your legs fall asleep? Like what? The book can't be too heavy, No,
yeah. I don't mind it. I actually have I bought a lap desk. And I bought a real cheap one a while back, like a $15 Amazon lap desk, and those are great for like omnibus read, or even like to put your tablet on your lap if you're reading on your tablet. So that makes it a little
not
easier.
On the toilet, right? We're just
we don't bring the lap desk into the bathroom. Okay. That's right. Way too much. Good. You're gonna like go to the bathroom with your backpack, and you're like, I got my Wi-Fi adapter, my laptop, and my lap desk, and I went ahead and got my 40-ounce Yeti in here too, just in case I get thirsty. I'm gonna be a minute, ladies and gentlemen, is what I'm gonna do. No, that's too much stuff. That's too much. I always make the joke that, I've been single for a long time, right? So I have the forearm strength to read omnibuses. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen. Hold on. We got Ignacio's talking. Good, because I need to quit talking when you start making those kind of jokes. He's debating going to which con. It'll be, it'd be a good one, man. And everything's cheaper. It depends on how much it costs you. Cause like when you're traveling overseas, it's obviously going to be a little bit cheaper to get to a coast and maybe a little bit of extra money to get to the middle of the country. But once you get to the middle of the country, everything else is cheaper. If you want to go drinking, if you want to go partying, if you want to go out to eat, stuff like that, it gets a lot cheaper the more inside of the country you get, which is, one of the good parts about living here. Wait a second. I am. I had a fucking panic attack on the clock. I don't recommend that for anybody, ladies and gentlemen. And it scared the shit out of me. And basically my whole body was like, you're done. You can't do this anymore, man. And I was like, I listened to it. And and I quit. And
what is cool though, to your point about like everything in the middle of the country, what I do like about the area that we are in, because you and I, we're neighbors, Blake.
Right? Yeah, you're Arkansas, right?
We're neighbors. You can drive like almost anywhere in a day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like Chicago's a day's drive, Denver's a day's drive, Dallas.
Yeah, 6 to 8 hours you can get to some cool places.
You can get just about anywhere. And I think that's pretty freaking cool.
Yeah, it's nice. And there's so many, I love road trips, man. I miss those. There's so many like fun places you can like come across. But yeah, so Ignacio would be that's something to consider in your travels, is something to think about. And that's what we were here to talk about tonight is the Blake's Buzz Traveling Agency, which we're about to launch soon. Basically, if you guys give me a little bit of money, I'll tell you where to eat a real good cheeseburger, and then that's it. We're done. We don't talk anymore, and everything will be great. All right, that's the next that's the next Blake's Buzz venture. No, I'm kidding. What we were here to talk about tonight, which you guys might have forgotten because we've talked about everything else, was Blazing Blade of Frankenstein. Issue 2 is out right now. As I mentioned earlier, there might be a little bit of pressure on this, but I have no doubts and I have no lack of faith in a comic book that Clay Adams is involved in, because he knows what he's doing. You are welcome, dude. I love your writing. I love your presence in indie comics. Like I said, you're always fun to talk to. You're always easy to talk to, but I really do. And I'm being honest with you, ladies and gentlemen. I enjoy reading his stuff. Like, I'm happy to pay for it. He's got really cool comic books, and he's had stuff out from Scout, right? He's played the publisher game, but he also knows how to crowdfund, and he knows how to navigate Kickstarter. And now he knows how to do this, this like upgrade pledge idea outside of BackerKit, which I think is really cool. Like I said, it was very easy when I was like clicking the links and looking around. It was easy. It wasn't cumbersome. The way they did the backer updates and the emails that they sent out, it was really it was really smart, man. And it was, I dig that. Like,
Cool.
because like you mentioned, there's, if you're like me or other, and a lot of people back more stuff than I do, but you know, sometimes you back like 10 or 12, you end up accidentally backing a lot of campaigns, right? And then even if you switch to digital on a couple and you're like, oh, I really want this variant, or oh, I want this hardcover, and you got to kind of balance out your pledges. And this kind of helps that, where you can be like, you know what? All right, this one I can go to digital, but then like a couple months later, you can be like, hey, do you want to upgrade? And you got fucking $20 in your bank account that you don't need to worry about, right? And you're like, all right, I'll do that. And you know who that helps? That helps the consumer, but that also helps you. Like, you're making more money. You're pushing more of your products and effortlessly, basically. Like, you're just like writing a good email and putting a good link in that someone can click on. So I really thought that was cool. And like I said, like I haven't come across that as much in Kickstarter. So
I'm surprised more people don't do it. But it just made sense to me that, like, I mean, I get that backer kit, it's a seamless experience if you want to add on things.
Yeah. You don't want a seamless experience though. It's about Frankenstein. He's stitched up, baby.
He's got lots of seams, right? See, you know what? It's just a thematic thing for me. You know what I mean? Like, I just the
vibes.
Exactly.
This is why people watch my show, because these deep cuts, these
man, little... you're on it. You're on fire. You're on fire.
Because my brain's not boggled down with that day job bullshit.
You can blue sky it, man. You can just like, you can dream as big as you want, man.
I am a golden god. No, what's that movie? Oh man, he like jumps off the shed and he screams that.
Yes,
Almost Famous. Almost Famous.
Yes.
So such a good movie. You guys should watch Almost Famous and go to Clay's campaign and just back it right now. Just do it. What are you gonna? It's Friday night. Watch a nice little movie. Make some popcorn. What are you gonna do?
Go back the campaign and then go watch Almost Famous.
Yeah,
enjoy yourself.
Do that. You can watch Almost Famous on the TV. You can back the campaign from your phone.
You can do it at the same time.
Yeah, at the same time. You know, and then you can even like go back in later, maybe add a couple add-ons. Who knows? Get weird with it.
Yeah, dude.
That's a great idea. That's a great idea. No, that's it actually is a great idea, because I'm excited for Blazing Blade of Frankenstein issue 2. And like I mentioned, you've got a lot of other great stuff too. You guys should check out his add-ons. I know he's got some digital stuff there. For some reason, Electric Youth isn't there. Maybe if more people ask for it, it will be. I really had a good time reading that. Like, now that we've kind of covered everything, like, I really fucking loved Electric Youth, dude. Like,
that's awesome, man. That's great to hear.
And well, so are you ever planning? Because at the end of issue 2, there's like a little thing that's like maybe more one day.
Yeah, you never know. I mean, it was always planned to be 48
you've done like
pages.
Everything else since then. You've like went to so many different like worlds and realms and genres. I enjoy everything you've done. But yeah, this was, like I said, man, this was one of my favorite things with you on the script that I've read.
That's very cool, man. I really appreciate that. Yeah, it was a fun thing to work on. It's a cool concept. It got a little write up in the Los Angeles Times.
No shit.
Cool. Yeah.
Whoa.
And so, you know, that was a cool thing.
And that's when you were like, LA Times gave us, we're done. Like, we're never going back to that again.
Well, it was funny.
It's not indie anymore.
Because the article came out sort of like right before the pandemic hit, and it generated, so like the article generated some interest, you know, from Hollywood, and then the pandemic hit. And then
that bullshit. Okay.
And then like suddenly crickets, you know.
Yeah.
So listen, never say never, but the story was always intended. It was always intended to be 48 pages. And,
it wraps up nice. I do feel like though, you could almost turn that like, is it Eric, your editor, Eric Powell, right?
No, James Powell.
James Powell. James, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But he does the same thing too. He does like his don't have the language that yours has, right? Like yours has the all ages scenario, but the adult language script. And his is more like kind of Goosebumps era. It's all ages, but it's still creepy. And it's still fun, and the art, like he kind of does the same thing. And he also just went through a printer snafu like you recently with his old
Yeah.
Dark Horse books. They all like stuck together in storage or something.
Yes, that was a storage issue, I think,
Yeah.
more than a printing issue. But
Okay.
yeah, he had to pulp like a whole run.
I bought one. I like that mine has like the little, because it's black mainly with like, colored text and art on both sides, and I like that, like right along the spine there's like some little white
It's
shading
weathered,
marks. Yeah, it's
right?
weathered. Like that's real. But yeah, he's another one. He's real talented with horror too, and I can see
Yeah.
why you guys have similar vibes, because you work together and he edits your stuff too. And I think that's probably why you write these good narratives, is because you are able to pick out these creative teams that you can really vibe with, like you and Mick, right? Like you guys,
Yeah.
well, you get along, but I don't. I feel like you guys are really tight, but I also feel like I feel like sometimes in your office there's like an old married couple vibe where you're just like, I'm gonna walk away, or I'm gonna take that page you're working on, I'm gonna crumple it up in a little tiny piece and I'm throw it at you. Like I feel like you guys have both.
No, what I'll tell you what I like about Mick. Like I was introduced to Mick by Charlie Stickney.
Yeah.
Believe it or not.
Same.
Yeah, and just because Charlie knew I was moving to this area, and he was like, "Oh, I know a guy who lives there,"
Oh,
and
nice.
I met Mick, and Mick was just very chill, and he said to me one time, he was like, "I'm totally fine with companionable silence," and I have learned over the years that that's true. Like
Awesome.
sometimes there are people that you're with and like you just feel like you got to be talking all the time.
Yeah,
you got to
yeah.
fill that space, and then it just feels so awkward. Mick is just totally cool sitting in silence. And so I think that's probably why the studio situation works. Because
Nice.
I was worried about like, oh, geez, what's going to happen? Like if I've got to write something, because I was always a person that was like, no, I can't have any distractions when I write. Like it's got to be quiet. I've got to have my own private space, and I just got to do my thing.
Yeah.
And what I've just learned is that like I can just write, and Mick's sitting there drawing, and it's like it's totally fine. And so last week we were all snowed in, and I couldn't get to the office, and the kids were snowed out of school, and for some reason, because my parents were here, so my parents were snowed in too. So they were staying in the guest bedroom, which is usually where I work when I'm at home. And so like I told my wife, I was like, can I work in your office with you? And she's like, who are you? You don't work with other people. Like you need silence. And I was like, no, I think working with Mick in the room for so long, like I've just trained myself that like I can do it. I can just buckle down and do it. But yeah, this can be such a solitary endeavor that we do.
It's nice to have something every now and then.
Yeah, it's nice to have a little bit of interaction, and so yeah, that's been cool to hang out and talk comics, and or not talk, just sit in companionable silence and work. That's good too.
I like this. All right, so this reminds me of a story. So there's a while back, I was seeing this lady, and we were never like official, right? But it was like a kind of on off thing. She was in grad school, so like she would come back into town, and I was working at the bar, and we'd like hang out sometimes. And one night she rocked my fucking socks, right? And I'm a pillow talk guy, right? So like I always feel like when we're laying there, like like I'll play with your hair, I'll rub your back or whatever, but like I always feel like I gotta say, like when it's just quiet.
Listen, when you're telling this story, don't say you, okay? Don't say you're gonna do this to you.
I was playing with her hair, rubbing her back.
Thank you.
I always feel like I have to in these scenarios, just like that. I a lot of times I feel like I have to like talk about things or like spark up a conversation.
Right.
And I was like tongue tied as fuck and said like a sentence of nonverbal nonsense of just like trying to like fill in the quiet of like, like, I don't know if I did a good job enough, and that was neat. And hey, my name's Blake. What's your name? And like, and she looks at me and goes, sometimes you just don't have to say anything. And I will never forget. I will never ever forget that. Right. It's especially now when like it's like my whole deal is like I don't shut up, right? And that's how all this happened. And yeah, I'll never forget like this woman just being like, Yeah, and she was right, because like I said, I was forcibly trying to fill the silence, and it just sounded like a dummy. But yeah, she was just like, "We'll put that on the refrigerator later, babe." Like, it's like, anyways, but yeah, not totally different scenario than Clay and Mick, but just that kind of
Very,
like
very different.
sometimes. Sometimes you don't have to say anything, but sometimes you do have to say anything. Like if you want to remind people that they should go back Blazing Blade of Frankenstein issue 2. And if you haven't backed issue 2, guess what? You can get issue 1 still. Like you can get 2 issues of a sequel to Frankenstein, which it takes massive fucking balls to follow up Mary Shelley, but of very
Or
few,
stupidity.
No, but sometimes, but the people that I know have done it well. And so like cool, like you did it. And again, like I love that you were passionate about that novel, because again, it changed the way I thought about literature, about writing, and about storytelling. Like I'll remember some of that shit forever. And I still have my textured hardcover of the Bernie Wrightson illustrated edition, which is like long sold out now, right?
Right.
I remember in college, my teacher asked me to borrow it because she saw it and was like flipping through it. And she was like after the final discussion, after we'd finished, and she was like, "Can I borrow this?" And I was like, "Yeah." And she like gave it back to me, and she was like, "That was so cool." And I was like, "Right, isn't the art crazy?" And yeah. So, anyways, like that was like before I was like I was reading comic books sometimes, but I wasn't really into comics in my early college years. Like I very much was like, I'm gonna write the next best novel. I'm gonna write great short stories. I was like living in that dream world. And so like comics weren't really on my radar, and I was all about the pros. But anyway,
you were a late bloomer.
Yeah, I was an early bloomer because like as a kid I read comics.
Yeah.
And
we all go through that period where we walk away from them.
Yeah, you're like, yeah, comics are neat, but drugs and girls. And then they're like, okay, they're like, guess what? When you're empty and sad, we'll still be here. And sure as fuck enough, in numerous ways, comic books will always be there for you. I said that online last night. I was like, I realized that when I was reading, and because I told Clay in the green room today, I haven't slept as much recently because of some certain life decisions that really are nagging at me when I like lay down and try and go to sleep. And
what is that?
I quit my job.
Oh shit!
Yeah, I'm unemployed. But yeah, so like
you should have mentioned that.
I know. Look me up on Ko-fi. Support me. No, I'm just don't. I mean, if you want, but like, I'm not begging for money online. But yet, maybe in a couple months if things get bad. But anyways, I was laying in bed and I was stressing and I couldn't sleep. And the nice thing about digital comics is when you have a tablet, you're laying in bed, all the lights are out and shit. Like when your tablet lights up, so you can just like, you don't even have to get up, you don't have to turn a lamp on. You're just like, I started reading some comics. I was reading Rodney Barnes's Nita Hawes Nightmare blog, and which is just real happy and warm and fulfilling, not at all terrifying. But it took me someplace else, and for like 20 minutes I had a nice little break and enjoyed an issue, and I was like, man, that was just like a nice break. And I was like, that's what great comic books do. And not comic books, literature, art, music, everything can kind of do it, right? But like comic books does it a little bit differently because it plays with the visual and the textual aspect, and how it plays with your brain when you're consuming that kind of media. Your different parts of your brain activate based on the visual and textual aspects, and this makes them happen simultaneously. Anyways,
that was deep.
Yeah, I know.
That was very deep.
I'm sorry. I read Scott McCloud's How to Read Comics, or it's
Understanding Comics. Yeah, classic.
Let's talk about the dual narrator. No, anyways, but it was nice, and that both took me out of my dread and brought me back into the reason of like why I love comics, why I do what I do, why I do Blake's Buzz and Blake's Buzz Live, why I read stuff to review it, why I beg people to come on my show. And it reminded me of that, and it was good and it felt good. And then, I still didn't sleep, but it helped me for a few minutes. It was a brief respite of de-angst, and and that's what great comic books do, man. And
that's what we want to do with Blazing Blade of Frankenstein. Take
and
out
I feel like you're doing it.
Yeah. Give you a little episode of some action adventure, 20 minutes of your time. Enjoy.
Yeah.
Go about your life. Think about the story. Come back, reread it again. Get something new out of it the second time.
Yeah.
And then, bam, we'll hit you with a new campaign.
Yeah. And he's hitting you with issue 2 right now. You could go get these comics. Well, you can get them later. You can technically kind of pre-order them now.
You're pre-ordering them, but the book. So I have to say, Ilaria has finished the colors.
Oh wow!
So she's gonna do.
You're cruising already.
We're cruising, yeah. The book's been drawn and lettered for a long time.
Oh wow!
And Ilaria has finished the cover. She's gonna do some corrections, I think, next week. I'm gonna do like another little pass at the the lettering, just to make sure everything is as perfect as it could be, dialogue wise, and placement wise. But then, yeah, we are looking to send this to the printer, brand new printer, by the way, not the same one that screwed me. But we're going to send it to the printer as soon as possible after the campaign's over, so that number 3 can come at you real soon.
Very cool. Well, Clay, I've kept you for almost an hour and a half, and I appreciate this time. You're always a joy to talk to, and I love talking comic books with you, whether it's yours or someone else. Thank you so much. Real quick, let everybody know, like, where's a good place to find you on social media? Where do we keep track of you for future campaigns or shenanigans or whatever you got going on?
Absolutely. So I am at Clay's Evil Twin on Twitter. You can find my work at friedcomics.com. You can read my newsletter. Sign up at friedcomics.com/free. You'll get a free comic, and sign up to my newsletter, where I talk about, I don't know, this week I've felt like talking about the state of the comics industry and streaming and things that are going on in the entertainment industry that just interest me. Or I don't know, I might talk about other stuff. You never know what I'll talk about there. And then you can follow me. My Kickstarter handle is Fried Comics. And you can follow me there. You can find Blazing Blade of Frankenstein 1 and 2 at bit.ly/blazingblade2.
Nice. Those little bit links are pretty useful.
Pretty handy. Yes, very handy.
Except you got to know that they're case sensitive. That
they are.
I stumbled across that mess a while back, and I was like, what am I doing wrong?
They are case sensitive. I think this one is Blazing Blade 2 with lowercase. I'm typing it in right now. We're gonna see what. Yeah, lowercase. Blazing Blade 2, lowercase b's.
Nice. Everybody, for real, check it out. Issue 1 was great. I've no doubts in issue 2, and I want this. Let's get it funded. Let's make it happen so that we get more of it. And some of Clay's other adventures too, because the comics I've read from Clay have been really great. And thanks, I want him to make more of them.
We are fully funded. The book is going to happen.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we're fully funded. It's going to happen.
I should have checked that before the show, maybe.
Yeah, dude, we're good. We're like 150% or something like that. But nice. There's always room for more in the Blazing world. We'd love to have you join us.
Definitely. All right.
Come on by.
Well, Clay, as always, man, this was fun. And unless you got anything else to say, I'm gonna play the music. I'm gonna kick us both off the stage.
Bring the music, baby.
Bring the music, baby. Everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate you, Clay. I appreciate you. Always wonderful to talk. Buzz babies. Love more, hate less, read comics. I love you. Go Chiefs. It's Super Bowl fucking weekend. Woo!
It's Blake's Buzz Live.